Fuck you. Hello guys, welcome to the next installation of the MMocast. This is episode number 7. Today we have with me Massimo.
Hello guys.
And then we have...
Oh.
Hey, you don't get
Wow.
the only intro anymore.
Alright, okay, go. We have Massimo.
No, it's
Cool.
It's done now.
We also have Tom.
Tom.
And we have that little bitch in the orange shirt.
You're in shirt, thanks, man.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Because this is like a very visual podcast.
The orange shirt that shows up well on the audio podcast.
Yeah, I know, right? You can see it on the waves.
So, we actually have all 4 of us, which is unusual.
Especially for an MMO cast.
Especially for an MMocast. And Josh is
Oh
like,
my
MMOs,
God.
screw you MMOs.
Yeah, no, I'm not really on the cast because I don't really play MMOs as much as these guys do.
Yes.
April Fools, they're not really here.
Yeah, April Fool's
It's
was
just
a few
me and
days ago,
Wayne.
mate.
April
So-
Fools, we've never played MMOs, we just watch a lot of videos. No.
Anyway, today is about ESO, Elder Scrolls Online. It's officially released today for everybody. The pre-release was a few days ago.
The early access started, I think, on Tuesday.
Yeah, something like that. So, there's been a lot of video coverage on the internet from the beta and from the actual game start. And, yeah, we're just going to talk about our thoughts on the game and how it's progressed and stuff.
So how it's progressed. I played...
And how it hasn't progressed
But
yet.
I'd say I played one beta for a while. And then I tried updating it to play the one before the game was finished. And it just wouldn't update properly. So it didn't really happen. I didn't really get a chance to play it very much.
Yeah, I could have played it if I wanted. I could have been patient and tried to update it, but like
Dota.
I had such a not
It
even.
was Dota.
I had such a bad experience with the beta and getting it to work. I couldn't be bothered.
Yeah, I gave up on it as well. Like the second time round, they invited me back. Well, I think all of us, and I tried it, and I just couldn't get in. Like I got to the character select screen, I made the character, and it just wouldn't let me back in. I was like, you know what? Nah, I'm done with you. I think.
This is shaping up to be a very short podcast. We all played it once. We gave up. We couldn't play it anymore.
That said, I have been watching I've been watching quite a few streams, and I've been listening to some other people's thoughts on it. And like I've gathered and I've read up on a lot of news about it and like what they plan to do with it. So I do have some information.
You know what? I'm interested to see what they do with it, like expansions, because from what I've seen, it's quite an expansive game to begin with. It's quite a lot in it, because I mean it covers pretty much the whole island of Cyrodiil, the whole continent basically. So it's like I don't really feel like they've left any stone unturned at the moment, and I quite like the idea they've just gone, oh yeah, this is the whole thing, like everything that was in any of the original Elder Scrolls games. And I think if they're going to expand it, it's going to be afterthoughts. So I'm quite happy about that.
Well, there is like if you played the beta, well, like not the beta release, the release that I can't remember what it's called.
Pre-release.
No, it
Early
was
access.
no the release
The
that
one
is
before the release.
the release that is out. Like it is like a big beta, but it's like it's for like limited people.
The open beta.
Closed
No.
beta.
Closed beta.
The network testing thing, or the actual game test, the alpha testing.
No, like the actual. If you guys would let me finish, yeah.
The release
fucking hell.
version. Is it the release
It's like
version?
talking to Mass in every other cast. Just get interrupted every 2 seconds.
Dota.
Hate you. But either way, like a beta, but it's not interrupted. Like it's just continuous gameplay from the moment they release it. Like there's a couple of YouTubers I know that were on that, but they couldn't really diversion it. Either way, yeah.
So
Like-
it's basically like testing the game rather than testing the
Yeah,
okay.
like testing the game
But you
as
had
they're
the
progressing.
developers testing the game and like showing us the footage.
Not developers, no, because they weren't developers that I knew of were doing it.
All right, let's just move on.
Either way.
Let's not make this an argument
That
cast.
some kind of
Like-
stage.
Like so, for
Something
people,
happened.
shut up.
Tits.
So for people who like already completed already leveled the character or two, if you wanted to now get into the game and just skip everything, skip all the story, skip everything, rush it, speed it through as fast as you could, to get to max level, which is level 50, and then do the 10 veteran levels, which we'll get into a bit more detail later, it would take
Okay.
about 200 to 250 hours. But if you actually enjoyed the story, took the game as they want you to take it, on average, it'd take about 550 to 650 hours just to get max level with one character. So that is longer than any other game since like EverQuest.
I don't know. World of Warcraft. Some guy it took him like 2 years to get to full. He was the first guy to finish World of Warcraft and get to level. I think it was 70 at the time. It took him like a year.
No, World of Warcraft. You can get it done.
Yeah, now you can boost like ridiculous amounts.
even
but-
earlier on, early on in
vanilla
the,
WoW, you could get there fast.
Yeah, in a few months you could get pretty much max level.
That sounds like something I'd want to drink.
Mm.
New vanilla wow.
Yeah, that's the energy drink Wayne should be chugging to keep him awake.
Yeah.
I'm
As you
awake.
can tell, guys, this is the high energy podcast. We're recording
Yeah.
this at about 11:30 at night.
To be fair, you guys have downed what looks to be what?
About a dozen and a half donuts.
Yeah.
I regretted the 5th, 6th, and 7th donuts immensely.
But anyway, so like I said, like there is quite a lot of leveling in the game.
Oh, yeah.
And like I mentioned, veteran ranks. So basically, when you get to level 50, you unlock the veteran ranks, and then Andreas is gonna die.
Donut.
Like-
I picked out donut, and I'm against. My body's just like, don't do it to yourself.
Without spoiling any story or anything, I'm not gonna tell you why this
And
happens.
They all
died.
die.
But veteran ranks 1, 2, 3, or 4, they take place in your own faction or alliance. Then 4 to 7 or 4 to 6, they take place in the next in another alliance, and then 6 or 7 to 10 in the thirds. So it's like you're playing through every storyline to the full extent, except a bit differently.
So you don't actually need to create new characters to play every storyline then.
Yeah, kind of. Like the storylines are a bit different, are a little bit different if you're playing them from like another faction's point of view, but
Oh,
you
yeah.
still see like the main.
Yeah, you
stuff.
get to see the stories from outside perspective.
Yeah, and you have to do that stuff to get to veteran rank level 10, from what I
So-
know.
So every time you like get to a new veteran rank, do you have to lose all your weapons and go back to level 1?
No. It's not Call of Duty or
So-
Titanfall
so I
or
can-
any
I
other
can
game
keep-
that's
I
copied
can keep my
Prestige.
model,
Practically
I can keep
anything.
my Model 1887 dual wheels then.
Yeah, but like
God.
but like your gear, you get gear based on your veteran rank. So like if you was veteran rank 2, when you got to veteran rank 3, you could unlock better gear because you were veteran rank
Yeah.
3. So for endgame, which in Elder Scrolls is called adventure mode, I think,
Let's go
which
on
by
an
the way
adventure.
isn't released yet. Great news for people who want endgame.
Yeah, but
within
I
And
mean,
then
the
like,
next
again,
month.
you just mentioned it takes what 500 to 600 hours.
Yeah,
roughly.
but you could do that in 2 weeks if you played solids. There are going to be people who get to end level in 2 to 3 weeks. Quite a lot, like of people that just want to rush it for the end game. And then if they haven't got that adventure mode, like they're raiding at the end, if they haven't got it, they're not going to pay for the next month. They're just going to unsubscribe.
Yeah,
This
no,
is-
I can imagine them getting a lot of content out though, because at the end of the day, it is a monthly subscription, and these subscribers they want that monthly content. Don't they?
I hope for their sake that they do get this raiding stuff out, this end game out, because if they don't, they will lose a lot of people like right off the bat. It's like it's like they released an unfinished game because they were promising all this to be released with the game.
Yeah, but
and
that's
it's not out
always
yet.
the case with an MMO. It's always an unfinished game.
Yeah, but just because it always is, it doesn't mean it always should be.
I mean,
You know.
Yeah, but to take a spin on it from like an actual another game sort of perspective, GTA didn't release online for 2 weeks, and to be honest, it probably did them better because then people took time to actually enjoy parts of the game rather than.
Yeah.
I mean, like there are people who played it who bought GTA for the online, but because the online wasn't out, people enjoyed the story more. So it might be a better selling point for them. Is like, oh, if you enjoy the adventure for the month before it comes out, you never know. It might be a case that it comes out a month after it was released or something like that. And at that point, that's all right. I wouldn't mind that because it means actually you've got to take your time to enjoy the story and you enjoy it a little bit more. I think that way.
Well, yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. It's okay as long as they do it before that first monthly subscription is due to tick again. But if they don't, and people are at their max now, then I can only see people unsubscribing. I know that if I had reached max level in a game and the next installment was about to come out of my bank account and there was no end game, there's nothing for me to do other than make a new character, odds are I would just unsubscribe. I'd probably resubscribe once they release the end game, but there are also people that wouldn't. They'd just go play another game or just give up on it already.
I don't know. I feel like people might it's still quite hyped, so people may give it the benefit of the doubt for the first month.
No, I don't think so.
But I think with a lot of MMOs, especially the newer ones, you really see the numbers after about 6 months, because that's where you get the true numbers at that point, where everyone who's going to stick around, they're gonna still be there, and everyone else who just jumped in on from the hype, has already left.
Yeah, but I can't help, bless you, I can't help but think that if they actually had this when the first month subscription ticked over, which they still could, because like I said, the official release of this game is now, is today, the day this podcast is going out. So that that really gives them about a month to do so. But well, I'd say 3.5 weeks, because I'm gonna go from the early access because a lot of people pre-ordered the game. It gives them about 3.5 more weeks to release this content. If they do, then it's cool, it's fine. But they're like you're right. After 6 months, you see who will stay, but you'll have more people, I feel, staying. If they've got this end game content that they want. Like, I know when I play a game, an MMO in this day, I really don't care too much about the story. Like, I sort of follow it briefly, but like I'm all myself. I play for the end game. It's what I personally enjoy. No one, like people that I talk to like in real life, they just don't understand why. It's just how I enjoy my game. So if I bought ESO, for example, and then I got to the end, I got to max level, I was waiting for the second month for them to release this, and they didn't. I'd be like, well, I'm not paying another month for this.
Yeah, no, that's a fair point. But I think also for a lot of people as well, that what they like to see and what they like in an MMO is progression with their character, and that's something you can still have with Elder Scrolls Online, as far as I understand it. So even if there is no end game, they can still continue to experience and gain those skill points, right? So they can still develop their characters, whether it's a different weapon, a different tier, yeah, and where you can move your abilities and whatnot. So if you haven't actually gone through all of that by the time you've reached max level, perhaps you can
You would
continue
have
on.
though, like
Well,
you would
unlocked
have.
all the skill points.
Like you'd have, by the time you get to veteran level 10, like you'd have been playing for like a long time. There's not much more you're going to be able to do. Plus, if you're at the max veteran level and you've seen everything,
I'd
like,
imagine. Well, hopefully, I'm thinking by then should hopefully have that end game content that you're looking for.
that's what this whole discussion has been about. And you've just been like playing.
Oh, I mean,
I understand why you're playing the devil's advocate. It's good, but like that's what I've been saying.
oh, I didn't realize you meant the veteran points or
Yeah,
whatever it was.
the
That's included within
the
the
veteran-
500
yeah.
to 600 hours.
Yeah, you can get to the max veteran rank of.
Oh,
veteran
okay.
thing. However, also another but yeah, like that's a thing anyway. So like if they do release it, I think that people would stay. But if they don't, I'm worried that people might leave early, prematurely, because of that.
To be fair, like, just because you were saying people you don't talk to, I know I'm one of them. We've had a lot of discussions about how I'm the person that plays all the way through an MMO, whereas you want to see that in game like fairly quickly. Like overall, I guess it depends who they're marketing it to, but I don't know how many roughly like what percentage of people they'd lose to people that don't want to wait 1 month for endgame because they pre-ordered the game. Like, I would have thought there's some value behind it. I've pre-ordered the game and I paid a month for this. I may give it another month. The other thing is, like, overall, our players gonna be like, unless they've already started a guild or something, our other players gonna be like, oh, it's a shame people are leaving, because they're probably gonna group up with other players that are just going through the game.
Is there PvP in the base game?
Yes, you can go into PvP from level 10, normal level 10.
Yeah.
So after maybe like a couple of hours.
So like faction versus faction still there from the beta and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, they're still gonna have their faction. They've still got their World v World copy from Guild
Yeah.
Wars.
I like how you said that.
It is. It's exactly the same thing. It looks a
It
bit
kinda
better.
is.
It's basically a fine tuned. It's a bit better because they fine tuned it. It's like what Xbox 360 and the PlayStation 3 did when they copied the Wii with their
Probably.
Kinect and PlayStation Plus.
Except they weren't fine-tuned, they were terrible.
Yeah.
I would like to go into a different podcast
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
I've had this discussion very recently with someone and they come up with some very good points, and I believe honestly that they were talking shit as well. So, but yeah, I think with something that's like, I mean, 500 to 600 hours, like I can't physically spend in that much time on a game anyway, without thinking, but without investing a lot. So, to me, 500 or 600 hours is a good 6 months worth of game. We're talking like, I mean, I'm fully happy with something where I could take a long time, and then by the time I've ended it, the one thing I've always liked about like pay monthly things as opposed to free to play is that everything, because you're paying monthly, they are adding things in there. They're not just like, this shit is all here, but you have to pay for the extra bits if you have to pay for all the little bits. Okay, cosmetic bits, fine, fair enough. Do whatever you want with them because they're just cosmetic. But if you're paying a certain amount for a game a month, you expect something out of it. If you look at the subscription services of a lot of things, like World of Warcraft, they add various, like, you can get more powered up weapons during the game and things like that. With ESO, I think that the whole point of the funding, like the monthly payments, is to fund that expansion of the game. Okay, fair enough. They're going to be like major expansions, like they're going to be bigger things that you're going to need to pay for, maybe like 10-15 quid, like you would like old school games where you get the expansions as opposed
Just
to
like
the
any
DLC.
other game.
Yeah, most games on the PC back in the day, like you used to get a game where it was like, oh, you get like World of Warcraft and you get like the Mists of Pandaria or something like that. It was like I expect that, you pay a little bit for that and that's fine, but with a monthly thing, it's like, oh, this month we're going to do this, or this month we're going to do this.
And especially because it's new, you expect them to add a lot to the base game. I mean, from what I played on the beta and what I've read up and stuff, it is going to be quite expansive to start.
Yeah.
There's going to be plenty to do because obviously it has to be as an MMO. It wants to keep people
Well-
subbing, but they're probably going to add some big things like, oh, we've added this entire new area.
Yeah.
Like they won't do anything on the level of a full expansion, but I'm sure they will start fine-tuning systems or like adding subsystems to things, new areas, stuff like that.
Yeah, I reckon this first month, even like through all the beta, there's definitely gonna be a lot of stuff that they come over and fix, and that's fine. It's the same with any MMO. You'll have these people bitching about it, but they can just go to hell because if they've ever played an MMO,
Yeah, it's the
they'll
same
know.
people who complain that games like Fallout or Skyrim are buggy. It's like they don't sit back and think, oh wait, they are hosting thousands of people.
Exactly.
They've got thousands of interactions happening. Like it's a fucking complex bit of machinery. This game.
The only
so-
reason that this adventure thing worries me a little bit is because they have hyped it up a lot and spoken about it a lot, and like I don't know if we actually have enough time to speak about it all in this cast, but maybe I'll speak about it another time. Like they've spoken a lot about what it is and how good it is, and players were expecting to be able to do it when they hit max level. And like there is those sort of, I'm not sure if hardcore is the right words. No, it's not the right word. But people that prefer to see the end game, that might rush through so they have it, so they can get it as soon as possible, and then they're going to be waiting around for it, and that's my worry about it. But then, like we were just speaking about, like if they do release something for the second month, maybe that might keep people going until they do release it. But then they also need to be careful with how long they delay it. And also, I have no knowledge that they are going to delay it. It's just we have no knowledge of when they're going to release it either.
It's the best way to delay something is never to announce it in the first place.
Yeah, but they did announce
Yeah.
it, which was the issue.
Yeah. I think one of the massive problems with people beta testing it is they expect it to be like a full release game thing. It's I saw a lot of people during the beta saying, they said there's a bug here, there's a bug here. That's the point of the beta. You're there to test something. You're there to stress it as far as you physically can. You really sort of you really got to push it. I mean, at one point I think it was Tom we were playing and someone fell through the floor and ended up.
me.
It was Wayne. He ended up seeing the whole map, and it was a pretty big map. Don't get me wrong, and it shows you just how big the world is because I mean it does cover like the lands of like Skyrim and things like that. It covers everything, and yeah, that's a bug, but it's not worth complaining about it because it's something that if when you at the end of it you go on the website, it's like, oh, there was a bug here. This is what happened. This is why. This is the like the things that happened up until that point.
It's the point of the beta.
They can look into it and debug it. With the same with RPGs, they're never gonna know. They can't look at this area that takes you half an hour to an hour to get from one side to the other, and expect there not to be a bug that they've missed because the place is so expansive. They can't just like walk every inch.
Yeah.
There's gonna be a series of things that trigger something.
Yeah,
and
like
stuff like that.
somebody complains, oh, I tripped on this one bit of loot and it sent my character like 100 feet into the sky or something. It's like, well, they literally cannot walk over every inch. Some kind of circumstance could be different if it's an incredibly dynamic game.
Yeah, I had an issue with one game, vaguely off topic. We're playing Borderlands, and I was playing it with one of my friends, and when we went to go to get a chest, for me the chest just wasn't textured at all. It was just like that rainbow fuzz that you get, that sort of untextured, that unrendered thing. And I can't get mad about that because at the end of the day, there's a lot of game. If there's one, to be honest, the game I'm bored at, it could be intentional.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's just like, don't complain about it. Tell them about it, and they'll probably fix it. With the beta for ESO, it was, yeah, sure, there are a lot of bugs. There are a lot of problems with network, problems getting online sometimes. For the first
It was a
hour,
stress test.
exactly.
Yeah.
For the first hour, we couldn't even get online properly. We were just leaving it going in the background. And eventually, we'd check it and we'd be in. So it wasn't a case of like, this is the best as we're gonna get it. You guys test it out. This is we're trying to break it, go.
But the
Yeah.
perfect example of that was in the game. From what I know now, they've removed the whole the starter island. That's not required anymore.
No, that was there for people to have something to do in the beta though. That was never actually going to be there.
No, that was intended. As far
Are
as
you
I
sure?
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
pretty
that was
sure it
That was
intended.
meant to be an opening because it's part of the story, isn't it?
Yeah, that's part of the story, but they had so many complaints in the beta that they took that. Well, they took that the option. You can still choose to go there if you want to, but they've removed it so you can go after you reach the second island. You can skip that, so you don't have to go through all of that.
I don't know.
So
Maybe
you have to do it
maybe
again, basically.
maybe
Yeah,
it's
you don't have
because
to do
it's
it all
kind of a
again.
tutorial island as well though. So that like
Yeah.
if you make a second character, you don't have to sit through it again. Maybe
Right.
that's the reason why.
Yeah, that would make sense.
I think that's good because I mean, the amount of times in your life that you started a game and you've had to do the trainee island, and it's like,
Yeah.
I
it's
know how to
awful.
I know how to mine copper, I know how to kill a goat
Yeah.
or a cow.
So, oh really? I chopped the tree down by using the hatchet on it.
Mm.
Oh my god!
It's like
Revolutionary.
I learned this from MMO A, B, and
Yeah.
C, and I've already done it on MMOD.
It's
Why
like
you
we
make
all
me do
play
it again?
RuneScape. We know how to fucking
Yeah,
do this
I
shit.
didn't want to mention it, but we have all played
We've all
RuneScape.
played.
And
Everybody.
and we've all restarted it somewhere along the line because in our youth we started something that we couldn't remember.
Yeah, I'm not a pure rune at level 85 or anything.
Wayne is
Anyway,
RuneScape bitch.
I did want to touch on something else that this game's actually doing very well, in my opinion, at least.
Wayne wants to touch
ESO, that is,
everything.
not RuneScape. So most MMOs these days, well, I think every MMO these days, you can solo through everything. You don't need to group up for any of the content whatsoever. And to an extent, that's the same with ESO. You can get from
Unless
levels.
you're a ranger.
You can get from levels
Yeah.
1 to 50 very easily on your own. Everything dies really easy. It's not a challenge whatsoever. It's like more of an enjoy the story. However, from when you, and this has been said from everyone, like all the people that I've watched play and speak about it, when you get to the veteran ranks, you have no choice but to start grouping into like three or four groups of 3 or 4 people to get past the content. So this is one of the first MMOs for quite some time that's actually making you it's sort of forcing you to group up in an MMO to get to the max level, which is what MMOs have been lacking for a long time, and that makes me really happy.
Really taking that MMO thing and making it multiplayer.
I think that's good in a way though,
Yeah.
because you will get people like that are more my kind of level of MMO player. Well, they'll go in, they'll enjoy the story. Maybe they'll get through all the story. You'll just play it like an RPG where maybe you can play with a couple of mates or whatever. But then I think it's good that it forces them to, because it's like, okay, you've had your like few hundred hours of fun. Now you've got to do something a little different. Like you're
Yeah.
making them mix it up, and people will be like, "Nah, just go on and play for an hour before work or after work every day or whatever." And then they're suddenly like, "Shit, I got to start." They start grouping up with people, and that will get them into probably other aspects of the game, like trading,
Yeah.
talking to other people that they would have completely missed. So like
It-
it's good for the players socially.
Yeah.
It's good because it will make them explore and see new content, and also do that with other people, which creates better guilds,
def-
interaction, everything.
It definitely reinforces the social aspect of MMOs, which has been taken out.
Yeah.
For example, Guild Wars 2. If I didn't have to join a guild, I didn't have to talk to anybody. I could have easily got to the max level. I didn't need to speak to anyone or socialize to do world bosses. There were literally apps to know when they were up, and
I
that was
still
it.
have
Like
that favorited.
I could, I could literally just go in on my own, play the MMO on my own, do everything on my own, get like max ascended gear on my own, and then leave and not have to talk to anyone. Elder Scrolls Online is taking that option away, at least for now, so that you have to group up with people and you have to sort of see the game from the eyes of other people as well.
Yeah, I think it's good that it's the end game and not beforehand because you
Well,
know, like I said,
Not the actual
lets you-
end game, but
Well,
like the
yeah,
last 10
but
veteran levels. Yeah.
yeah, it's the kind of it's what I'd consider end game because it's veteran. It's something named beyond the kind of okay, we're getting to
Going
the end
above
of
and
my
beyond, yeah.
storyline
I
thing.
guess
Yeah,
it's the leveling end game.
yeah,
if you want.
basically, the sort of end game for the story missions or whatever. And I'd kind of meander through. I've played for a couple of years. They've added a few add-ons I've tried, and then it's like, no, I'm still playing this game, enjoying it. I'm gonna give it a try. And it's like, you have to go talk to people. I'm like, damn, this shit's getting serious. And you gotta start grouping up, working out some elite strategies, all that kind of thing.
I really like that. I mean, those sort of games I prefer playing with friends anyway. But there was a point when we were playing the beta where we were all separate. Obviously, we were in different. We all somehow managed to choose different factions. We all started in different places.
We were idiots.
As you
And-
do.
Yeah, and it just like so. And I was a ranger, and as I mentioned, like in brief, like, being a ranger is not a very good way to solo a game. Because as soon as
Guild
you're
Wars 2
spotted,
Ranger pets,
yeah,
just
just
saying.
yeah, but you had pets, the ranger pet. It was like when you by yourself, you're just like, well, fuck. As soon as I get caught, I'm
Rangers
fucked.
were weak in
But-
Guild Wars 2, weakest class. So, anyway.
But like yeah, like I was walking through a cave, and when you're outside, I think you can have a maximum of 4 people in a group.
Yeah,
But when
it's
you're
what-
in caves, you can team up to 20 people. I found out, and not on purpose, but I was struggling to get through part of a cave, and as I was sort of getting through things, people started appearing, and eventually I checked my team, and because they were in the same room as me and we were all fighting similar things, we all ended up on the same team. I think it was like 11 of us in a team, and we went through the entire cave as a team, and I quite liked the aspect of like random people. You may not speak to them so much, but if you don't team up with them, if you don't sort of even temporarily just like bind together and become like a unit, that it does become a struggle. And forcing you to do that, it takes you out of your comfort zone, because I know there are a lot of people who play MMOs, they don't really talk to many people and stuff like that. And I
Yeah.
find I like the fact that MMO is a massively multiplayer online game. You're not there to do it by yourself. There are lots of people there to help you.
Another thing sort of related to that is farming. Now, some people frown upon farming, some people don't. To be honest, I don't see a problem with it. So, just in case you're not aware, farming is the what you literally like. It's the idea of repeatedly killing a boss or doing a mission to try and get an item in particular. So in this game, if you kill like a dungeon boss solo or something, he will take a long time to respawn. I think it was like between half an hour to an hour to respawn. However, if you've got like 15 to 20 people in your group, it's going to respawn once per half hour for every single person in that group. So it will be respawning every minute or so. Meaning that like you have and you'll get the loot every time you kill it. Everybody in that group will get the loot. So it's that in its own way as well is sort of reinforcing the fact that you should play with other people.
Yeah.
Because even if you enjoy farming, they're rewarding you by playing with other people. They're rewarding it in every aspect.
Yeah, they like to. It's like, I think that's what they do in the Elder Scrolls game anyway. Is that they sort of reward you for playing the way you want. They don't like say you can't do this. They'll be like, okay, you can do this, but there are certain things you will get and certain things you won't get.
Yeah,
you know?
well, obviously, because they've made the transition from a more sandbox adventure game almost to the MMO thing, they're like, okay, there are a few rules now because this is an MMO. However, these bits other MMOs would have rules on. We don't actually need those, so kind of do that however you want. So
Yeah.
they're making compromises, but also like giving a bit back to the player in terms of freedom in different like
Exactly.
gameplay areas.
And while it's something that I found that ESO did that ones I've played I haven't done so much, is that it's a very unique style of battle for an MMO. With an MMO, okay, fair enough, it's not a unique style of battle system, but for an MMO, you normally get the sort of point-click type things, where you get, the strategic, like, abilities type thing. And here, don't get me wrong, there are still the strategic abilities, like the area of effect spells and stuff like that, but you also get the sort of signature Elder Scrolls gameplay mechanics. And I like that they didn't change that to become an MMO. And
Yeah.
I really liked that it was something that was it wasn't like you couldn't. They didn't want to change that. They kept the essence of what Elder Scrolls was, and then turned that into an MMO. They it's like they adapted what they had rather than using adapted MMO for them.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
could still use your shield to block. You can
Exactly.
still do your hand movements when you do your magic spells.
And infinite ammo for
infinite
bows.
ammo for bows.
That was the fucking bomb, because I got to a point in Skyrim where I was like, I have 3 arrows. I've sold all the other weapons I had. I am fucked. There's a
there's
bear.
a Daedric Prince.
Yeah.
it's an Elder Scrolls MMO. It's not an MMO with the Elder Scrolls name tagged onto it.
Exactly. That's what I'm trying to say. Is like they didn't lose their focus while developing the game, and I think because one thing I've always liked about Bethesda is they've always kept the essence of what they are. They do what they feel. Yeah, fair enough. They're starting to release different types of games now, but their main like handful of games that they like solely develop are still, they have their heart. You know, they have the heart of Bethesda development basically, and the Elder Scrolls Online really sort of it held on to that. It didn't. It still it adapted MMO things, but it didn't lose its heart. It didn't like. It wasn't adapting. It wasn't adopting some Elder Scrolls features for an MMO. It was adapting MMO things for an Elder Scrolls game.
Yeah.
So I really liked that they really sort of tried to keep that. And you know, as much as you know, we sit there and we said that, you know, there's problems with it. We didn't like I personally probably won't continue to play the game because as much as I enjoyed it, I don't think I can justify paying the monthly fee for a game that I can play if I don't play very often when I actually play Skyrim anyway.
Yeah.
So, but I really liked that. I can appreciate that a lot of people will, because it is a good game. It's a fantastic. It really does what it needs to do, and it really has that feeling. Doesn't feel like a different game.
The only reason that I'm not gonna pick it up just yet, if at all, is purely because I'm not sure right now, because of everything going on in my personal life. I'm not sure if I'll actually have the time to get the most out of it and still work on this channel and just do everything that I need to do. But if I get to a point where I'm like, okay, I can set aside a few hours to play this game every now and again, I might actually pick it up. It's like seeing the gameplay after beta, post beta, and like people talking about it. I've heard all the negatives and the positives from a lot of different point of views. And it's sort of I kind of like the direction the game is taking, and the customization in this game for not maybe so much your appearance and things like that, but like the way you level your character, the way you level your skills, the things that you decide to level up, the maximization. There is so much thought that's gone into it. There's so much that they're letting you do, and it's just amazing. I'm not saying it's definitely not the first game to do this, but it's the first game I feel in a little while to do this properly. I don't think I've played an MMO in quite some time that's done this in a way that is this well.
Yeah, I was about to say it's definitely one, maybe not the first, but one of the first MMOs to put that level of detail into customization, leveling options, that kind of thing. Like, I was generally impressed how, you know, obviously Oblivion was very old, and Skyrim comes out. They've made a lot of like skill changes, overhauls to how the system works, but a lot of people loved it, so they've gone, okay, we can kind of put that in an MMO. Like you choose which skills level up. Skills level up as you use them more. The combat is quite similar. The general like gameplay works quite similar. And I was really impressed with how that worked and how they got it into the game. So I think that alone will probably get a lot of people that like Skyrim kind of into the MMO scene maybe, or into at least the Elder Scrolls Online.
Yeah, like one of my favorite things about it is that you can level up your skills in a way that match your playstyle. For example, when I was a healer in the beta, I could level up one of my healing skills so that when I healed somebody, I gained more mana. I gained mana back from that. Or if I wasn't someone who really had many mana issues, I could, or I wanted to be more of an AOE healer, I could make the skill target another 2 or 3 people in the area as well. So depending on how you want to play, or depending on what sort of character you want to build, you have so many different options from like the already extensive skill builds that you have. You can literally develop your own character that nobody else might have that will be useful. And I know that me and Massimo have spoken a lot about this in the past, and it's something that ISO is actually doing, and I'm personally really happy about that.
Yeah, I mean, like you're saying, there is a lot there, and even though, like you, I'm probably not going to pick it up, because I've got my sights on set on something else. I think it's done what it's set out to do. If you like Skyrim, if you like MMOs, you are going to enjoy this game. Um, me personally, I don't. Also, if you are going to enjoy pick up this game, I don't think you should have a problem with the whole no end game just yet, because like you said, there is that 500, 600 hours of gameplay, and considering like when I remember playing Skyrim and I invested maybe that many hours in the game, and I felt like I got my money's worth. So I mean, what do you pay for the basic game now? For the Elder Scrolls Online?
I think for
£39.99. I think.
39.
£40. £40
Yeah.
for what,
And
600 hours.
and the
I think
£15
that's
pound a month.
yeah, £15 a month.
You get 30 days free.
Yeah. The initial game is just 40
Yeah,
quid
really.
with the first
Right,
month.
right. So we're talking maybe £55 for 2 months.
Yeah.
You could potentially get what 500, 600 hours plus almost out of that. In my opinion, I think that's a good ratio. I think
Yeah.
for your dollar.
I hear your point.
Yeah.
It's a
Right.
good point.
I'm saying I really like that's the way I justify things when I buy them, is that
£1 an hour.
yeah, but
That's how I go.
it's not even so much £1 an hour.
Well, if it's on sale,
yeah,
and it's not that discount.
I mean, like I find it like, you know, you've got to really get your money's worth. I mean, as you said, you've pumped what, 400 or 500 hours into a game like Skyrim, and it's probably going to end up something similar to that with Elder Scrolls Online for a lot of people. So paying that 55 quid for 500 hours, regardless of the fact that, you know, that's
You don't have the end game
in
content.
game, exactly.
I
You're
don't
still
feel
getting your money's
cheated.
worth. But then as you continue to pay that monthly fee, you know, more and more stuff starts getting released, and then you start getting more and more value for your money and that sort of thing. I think anybody who adopts the game in 6 months' time will have one hell of an expansive game on their hands. They will have a game that
Definitely.
they will have a lot there. I think what we've established from this podcast a little bit is we all really, really like the game, but none of us are getting it.
We have commitment issues.
For me, it's just the time. Like right now, I just don't have the time to do that.
He's busy selling himself.
Yeah,
it would cut into my dose.
I did
time.
pretty just want to add to the fact that a lot of people have been complaining about the monthly cost, and it's something that happens with every MMO. So the only way to justify it yourself, the way I justified paying for Star Wars: The Republic Online, was that I played that game basically every day, more or less, and the expansions the expansions were very small. Like they weren't great expansions, honestly. They're pretty weak. But I was having a lot of fun playing it with people that I met in the game. I really liked their end game for a little while, right up until I left it. And to pay £9 a month for that game, or £15 a month for Elder Scrolls, if you are still at a point in 4 months' time where you are really enjoying this game, you're playing it quite a lot, then why not keep paying that money? Like, all you're gonna do otherwise is maybe spend £40 on another game that you might not play for nearly as long. So it's perfectly justifiable to me, especially when they're working on the game and releasing content. Look at it like if you play Borderlands 2, for example, just because it was brought up earlier, they'll release expansions that you have to pay for.
Yeah.
So it's just I understand why they can and are doing this monthly subscription.
I think with Elder Scrolls there will be paid expansions, but they'll be
huge.
They'll be massive. They'll be like proper. Like, I mean, look at things like World of Warcraft, where you've got expansive, like they've got entire new worlds that people play on, you know. So I've got a feeling that there's a lot to be said about where if as soon as a company decides that a game needs that monthly fee is the time when you think they've got things planned. They're not going to sit there and go, we'll give them £15 a month, but then in a few months' time they have to pay a tenner for a 10-minute extra expansion thing. It's not like that at all. It's so I say the reason I'm not on this podcast much. I don't really know too much about MMOs, but
That's all right.
It's just like I feel that free to play, everything comes at a premium. Like every little bit you do, and don't get me wrong, that's all right because you're playing the game for free. If you want the extras, why if you like it and you want to carry on, here's something else, but it costs you £5 to get this extra thing, and I'm fine with that. But I feel that with pay monthly, as much as people are opposed to it, and to be honest, there are some people who have every right to be because they want to experience a game, but not like have to pay the premium.
Yeah.
I read, but at the same time, there are those people that really see it's £15 a month. We're going to get something out of this. There's something that's going to come.
If you can invest the hours, it's completely worth your time. But like us, if you can't invest those hours,
if you don't
then
have the time
it's
to
not
give
really
it,
worth
then it's
it.
not
right,
worth
it's going to be very difficult to make up for
Exactly.
that money.
I'm more than willing to play free to play games because my schedule.
You can drop and go.
But I'd say my schedule doesn't really give time for it. I know it makes it sound like we're really, really busy people. I mean, the only difference is I work a 9 to 5, and then I have to do like college work on the weekends and stuff like that. So it's just like I need something that I don't have to pay monthly for, that I can just drop into and drop out of, like just in phases, like summer holidays. I have time to do that sort of thing, and so that's the only reason that I wouldn't be picking up a game like that. It's probably the only reason that I haven't picked up other MMOs, because you really need to be able to invest time in them, and I don't know whether it's just my attention span or whatever, but I just don't have the
I think these are the
time.
people we're going to see in 6 months' time. The people who are able to invest that much time into the
younger
into the
people,
game.
or the people who just generally have the luxury of working something that takes up less time.
I would have got it, but right now my priorities are different to what they were 2 years ago when I was playing Star Wars Republic.
But saying that, I'm not going to say I may never pick it up. Who
No.
knows down the line? Like you
Definitely
said, expansions may come out, and I don't think we're going to have to worry about paying for expansions just yet. I think that's going to be further down the line. Before they're going to be more focused on bringing in these getting rid of the bugs, updating the base game, getting the end game content sorted before you even worry about expansions.
There is definitely a lot they plan to release, just as part of the game.
Yeah. So I don't think people need to worry about having to dish out even more money on top of that. Not yet. Not for a while.
Not. It's just like I know for a fact that if I was to play this game and I was to pay the monthly subscription, I'd be doing it because I've been playing the game a lot, and where I'm paying that £15 a month or $20 or $25, I won't be spending £40 or £20 or £30 on other games.
Yeah.
So it's like I'm actually saving money in that respect,
But losing sleep and social interaction.
Exactly. That's exactly why I'm not doing it, because I don't want to get into that point again where I'm on an American server, waking up at 2 a.m. to do a raid, then going to work, then coming home passing out just to wake up at 2 a.m. and do another raid. Like I was at that stage a few years ago. I'm not there right now. I've got
it was
priorities.
less than a year ago, but yeah, sure, so a few years.
It was a few years ago.
It was also like during the time we did the podcast.
No, I haven't played Star Wars Republic in quite some time.
No, but you did on other things as well. Guild Wars.
Yeah, Guild Wars, but I wasn't up at 2 a.m. playing Guild Wars.
No,
anyway,
we'd lose you for like days. There are times when we lost Wayne for days.
If you're listening to this podcast, you're most
back on the
likely
sofa.
an MMO player, and you know exactly what we talk
Exactly.
about.
Yeah.
So
We're
it
not
doesn't really matter.
We're not saying like
You know where you will go.
This is like there are probably that's why it's Mass and Wayne doing the podcast mainly, is because they're the people who know the most. They know
We're
they've
the
grown up
ones
with
who
the
hibernate.
not the
at
lifestyle
home.
so much, but they've grown up with that sort
Experience.
of with that background. I'm very much Tekken.
Sleep
type
is
guy.
great, man.
And yeah, I love sleep. Sleep's fantastic.
Sleep's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
But anyway,
yeah.
I think we've reached our time now.
Yeah, I think we've talked as much
I
as
think
we are.
maybe we've
legally
gone
qualified
overtime
to.
a little
That's
bit.
right.
I think
That's a
it's
hell
a
of an
special.
MMO
Yeah.
cast, but it's a special.
I think that me and Mass, at least, and maybe these other two if they want to join in at some point in a few weeks. In the
We're gonna
next
have an
amount of time,
e-sorgy.
we'll bring this subject back up on I think we're gonna follow this game a little bit in our MMO cast.
Yeah, later on. I mean, we've changed things up a little bit this week. Typically we choose a specific MMO subject.
Yeah.
But this time, we've decided to focus on a single game this week.
And there's so much that we haven't even touched on about this game. Don't think this game is limited to what we've spoken about. This is just a fraction of what it is.
This is the
available.
knowledge of 4 guys who played the beta a bit.
Yeah.
And
did
someone
some-
who's
did a bit of
done a lot of
research as well.
research on it. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
what what we'll most likely do is continue with the standard MMO cast, and then come back to this maybe in a couple months' time.
Yeah,
when
just to see how it's progressing.
Yeah, we'll see how it's progressed, what sort of updates have come up, and what the numbers are like, because that's what I'm most curious
if you're
about.
comparing MMO systems, it's always good to be able to speak about the new kid on the block and what changes it has and what things it's doing. So Elder Scrolls can be your go-to example for the latest in what an MMO is doing because it's the newest.
Yeah,
Exactly that.
and I think like everybody should. I think it's a game that if you enjoy RPGs, you should keep an eye on, because even if you're not normally an MMO player, this isn't your typical MMO style game, so it's something you should really sort of keep an eye on.
I will be watching it myself.
Yeah, and
closely.
at the end of this, I'll post what I originally called 85 our ESO experience in 85 seconds.
Yeah.
It's basically just a series of 5 or 6 things that I recorded while the NDA was still going, so we couldn't release it, and we just
And the game was bugging out a bit, so we just had some fun with what we could.
yeah.
So there you go, guys. You got some bonus footage there.
Yeah, so we're gonna add some extras.
We'll make sure to render this episode in full superb 4:3 aspect ratio for maximum enjoyment.
For maximum enjoyment.
Guys,
God damn it, Mass.
thank you for listening. Hope you've had fun.
Thanks a lot, guys, and we'll see you hopefully next week with another MMO subcast.
Yep.
Goodbye.
Bye, guys.
You've been awesome. We've
Ciao.
been Beefy Sandwich. So cheesy.
Yeah, it was
So
terrible.
cheesy.
Oh God.
Stop recording.